And 3, 2. Welcome to today's episode of the Dog Training Dogma with your host, Jonathan Katz. We have, as always in the studio, we have Hood Rat Heather. Hey, Heather.
Howdy.
And we have our special guest today. We have a tribunal. Is this a tribunal?
That's like a court.
That's a court. This is the most amount of guests that we've had in the studio. Trifecta.
Trifecta.
Welcome.
I was going to say throuple.
Welcome, Seven, to the studio. Thank you for being here. Welcome, Tegan.
Thank you. I'm excited.
And we have a returning guest, Adrienne.
Yay!
Just to say, Adrienne, everyone really loved your episode. I've gotten a ton of awesome feedback. And
Thank you.
I think it was awesome for you to, say what's on your mind. I think it was really important. And so thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
It needed to be said.
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Everything in that podcast.
Everything.
It's a great
Everything.
podcast.
So, other than we're missing Selena, and obviously Tracy also comes in and jumps in the suit sometimes, but you guys are 3 of my main decoys, and I think it's important for people to understand that even though you would traditionally say that decoying is a male-dominated industry, but I've seen more dogs run by women than I have by men. I'm going to give number 1 just a shout out to Adrienne Ray. Adrienne Ray runs more dogs than I see. I've been judging for 10 years and I've been part of the sport since 2006. I have seen her since she first started decoying, and she has decoyed under me so many times as a judge, and dogs either don't want to bite her or don't want to out. Kelsey. It was just Kelsey's birthday. Happy birthday, Kelsey.
Happy birthday, Kelsey.
Kelsey.
Shout out to Kelsey.
Like when I was judging in Martinez, Kelsey ran most of the dogs that got ran. Like it's, I think it's really important for dogs to see when it comes to generalizing protection dogs. They have to see tall people and short people and skinny people and fat people and men and women and people of all different genders, because everyone has a different sound. Everyone has a different feel. Everyone has a different pressure, right? And so, I've heard too many times the misogynistic, saying of, oh, women can't decoy. I think that's bullshit. I think women decoy very well, right? And what really is curious to me, I'm always curious, like, why do people get into decoying, right? I originally just liked the idea of training protection dogs, and I was a little bit of a masochist, like, Seven, how you've been decoying for a long time. How long, like, what got you into decoying? What made you say, I want to get bit by dogs?
So actually, when I was kennel teching at a facility, there was a trainer there. We know who. And she had a very nice French ring dog. And I didn't know anything about Malinois at the time. I was very naive. I was like, what a beautiful shepherd, German shepherd, same thing. She showed me bite work stuff, and she was like, do you want to catch a bite? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? She was like, here, put the sleeve on. And I put the sleeve on, and that was the first time I'd ever caught a dog, and it was that dog. It was an amazing French ring dog.
Yeah.
I caught that dog on a sleeve, and I was like, holy shit, like, what just happened? Like, it was adrenaline like I've never felt it before. And fast forward to probably about 2 years after that, I moved out here, and I got mentored by somebody who's a great decoy in protection sports. And he didn't have anybody else on the team at the time to help build some dogs, so he was like, Seven, get in, and that was the first time I was ever in a suit. And he taught me some very nice mechanics, and I fell in love with the rush. I fell in love with building the dog, seeing the dogs happy, like just being a part of the whole process, just being a sparring partner. It's fun. It's amazing. Like,
so building dogs is fun. Would you also say that you're a little bit of an adrenaline junkie?
Oh, you have to be. You have to be to.
You drive a.
Nobody subconsciously.
What is it? The slingshot.
Wants to get bit
and
by
she
a dog.
carries a big gun, like.
A couple big guns, yes. But no, it's you have to be. You have to, like I said, subconsciously nobody wants to be bit by a dog. So you have to go out there willing to be like, all right, let's do this, and safely. You can't be scared when doing this.
Yeah.
At least can't show it.
Tegan, how did you get into decoying?
So a little bit of the same, chasing the rush of adrenaline for sure. I started working with a normal dog trainer in my hometown who did PSA on the side.
Okay.
Who I didn't even know what PSA was at the time. So I hopped in the suit, ready to take a bite just for the rush of it all. And of course, like after time, a little bit of that rush starts to fade after doing the same thing over and over again. And I wasn't really decoying at the time. I was kind of just a warm body in a suit, taking some bites. And once I kind of got past the initial adrenaline, I started kind of digging into the layers and actually seeing what a decoy truly is and getting more into the training aspect. And so since then, I've been trying to learn and grow in that aspect and help improve dogs as much as possible.
It's funny because I've had multiple very experienced people come here and they're like, when are we getting Tegan at a decoy camp? And I go, we save her for training. She doesn't have to go to decoy camp. Right? I don't need my decoys to certify as trial decoys. If they want to, I will help them and I will coach them and I will guide them, but I don't need them to. I need them to build dogs. Yep. Right? So I need you here to build dogs. If it was something you're like, Jonathan, this is what I want to do, I would help you as much help as I could give you to get to that point. I don't need it. It's not important to me.
Right.
If anything, you're really going out and like working for an entire weekend selflessly of your body and for free. Right? So you have to really enjoy that aspect. Like Isaiah truly enjoys testing dogs. He enjoys building the dogs and testing the dogs. For me, it wasn't as much of the testing the dogs. It was building the dogs. But I was at every trial. I'm good enough to be a trial decoy. I might as well just do it. Right?
Absolutely. I think that's something that I will possibly look forward to in the future is doing a camp just for the experience.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to stay off the trial field. But we'll see how that goes.
Adrienne, you are the youngest decoy on our panel. Right?
Yay.
But I would say you are the most enthusiastic.
Oh, good.
Of
Young, least experienced, most enthusiastic.
Yes. Well, here's the one thing I would say is
I fell down the most.
You're a soldier. So soldiers take orders. Like soldiers take direction. And when I'm like, here, do this. And you're like, yes, sir. Right? You always do it with a smile.
Run at Grim. Okay.
Run at Grim.
I remember that. I'll never forget that.
Run at Grim?
Yeah.
Did we really do that?
Yes, you did that. So, yeah, but that's a good point, actually. So, like, my first bite was Rust, Will's dog Rustum, when I was a trainer at Starmark. But and then there was not really any context. I didn't really know what was going on. And then it was over. I'm like, that was cool. I didn't die. I went on about my life. Then it was Cougar Puma and Grim up in New York.
Okay.
So when I went up to New York.
Cougar Puma Grim.
Yeah, Cougar Grim. And I think Puma was first. And then I played with Cougar a little bit. And then I was still in the suit for some reason. It was during one of y'all's club nights.
Yeah.
And Dave was over there with Grim. And you were like, Adrienne, run at Grim. I was like, He bashed me in the face, but didn't die.
He did not die. No.
He did. He smashed me with his skull.
Here's the thing: the fact that I said
soldiers, they're like, go into that gas chamber. You're like, oh well, I mean, I'm probably not gonna die.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell me to do something that would probably kill me. So
no. If there was like a high percentile,
this isn't actually Afghanistan. This is basic training. I'm probably not gonna die, so I'm gonna go in the gas chamber.
Yes.
It's fine. Should be fine.
He's a good soldier.
He'll be fine.
So here's the thing, like, especially like you got bit by Grim and you're like, I still want to do this.
Yeah.
To me, when it comes to, like, I will help anyone that wants to learn how to decoy. If you want to be one of my decoys, you have to be a little bit twisted by way of, like, Heather's watched me coach people that, like, you literally put a dog on them and they just... But they have such a desire to want to decoy that I don't want to stifle it and I want to help them. And I want to continue to try to help them through their process. And if they need to stop and like take deep breaths and do breathing exercises in between bites, that's fine because I'm trying to teach them. But, it's not going to be one of my decoys, right? Yeah. Like the fact that you guys are a little bit twisted, I'm like, Seven, go run at Bandit in that muzzle. And you're like, yes, sir. And you go and do it, you know, like.
Well, it's a risk tolerance thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, what is the actual worst thing that could happen right now? I'm probably not going to die.
Rib by Bandit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would suck.
Cougar almost took my eye, but.
Cougar almost took Tegan's eye.
I lived. I have both eyes still.
Thank God.
Intact.
Here's the thing
Richard
you know.
Richard.
Shit happens when you party naked. Richard partied naked, but he came out on top. Right? To me, it was could have been worse.
Made for a cool video.
Great video.
Now, you know, it's again, I didn't put him in a situation where he was going to die. It's a little bit hairy. If we're training dogs to bite, again, like fundamentally, if we're teaching dogs to bite, we're teaching dogs to bite for real.
There's risk.
There's going to be risk at it. If we're doing Nerf bites and we only do, like, you watch Schutzen clubs and, you know, at a Schutzen world level, the dog takes the helper down and the sleeve comes off and the dog goes, wee, and runs around with the sleeve. Like, realistically, if someone caught my dog in a sleeve and spit the sleeve out, the dog's supposed to spit the sleeve out and rebite. Like, you can't have that kind of a dog. So the kind of dogs that we have, that we train, like, it's going to get a little hairy. And Cougar had bitten, you know, a couple of ring decoys in the hands doing return skis before they started not putting their hands. You know, like, don't put your hands where you wouldn't put your dick.
But sounds like she helped them.
Right? Well, she did something.
And that is why female decoys are better.
Yeah. We don't have dicks to put anywhere.
You don't have that problem.
No cups necessary.
So that is an advantage. Would you say another advantage is that being able to reach that higher octave of a more primal scream than more of
Banshee.
What's
The
you're
banshee
the
scream.
music? What's the higher octave?
High
Acapella?
Pitch? You're
No,
just
no,
going, like the soprano?
Like a soprano.
Up there?
But
And
the
then as
strings
opposed
are-
to baritone. Right? And dogs, when dogs only work on men, they're used to more guttural, right? More growly as opposed to higher pitched banshee type.
I think that's a big part of it, especially like I've been discovering that lately. I spent so much.
You found your voice.
Yes, I did.
Tegan found her voice.
Yes, happened in Montana.
That was amazing. It was at that elevation
It was the elevation
that you
for
found
sure.
your voice. Because for years I'm like, Tegan, say something. Say yeehaw, yeehaw.
I think what it was I was trying to mimic
No.
what I was watching.
No, you
and
gotta be you.
seeing, And then I just finally got comfortable
Yeah.
doing what worked for me.
Yeah.
And I feel so much better about it all now. I'm like re-inspired.
That's
Yay.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then before that we found the gun.
Yes.
We gave Tegan a blank gun and
Bang,
she
bang,
had
bang.
so much fun. We went through an entire
Running
box
away
of
from
rounds in
Bandit.
one club day. I got some 12 gauge blanks.
Yes.
And I got the 12 gauge. We're going to bring it out. We're going to do that on the field. We're going to have some fun
Yes,
with that.
please. Yes, please.
Right?
Yes.
See, I'm not to that point. She likes to run away from dogs, and that might still... I try to make up for my lack of technique with more distraction.
You're a great distraction.
My strategy.
I love that Ranger loves you. And you're like that dog's kryptonite. And trial decoys can't get in his head, but you're there. You look at him, smile at him, and he smiles back at you. Right? You know, I think every decoy brings something different to the table. Every decoy has different movements. I have different movements than Isaiah, and Isaiah has different movements than Wilden, and Wilden has different movements. Like, as we go around, everyone's going to move differently and make different sounds, right?
It's important to see all that, though.
The dog has to see all that. If the dog doesn't see that, then you're not properly preparing the dog and you're an asshole. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
You know, I think it's important to me that, like, it's ultimately my job to make sure all these dogs are prepared. But you guys are the ones that have to actually do it. I'm broken. I can't get in the suit anymore and run around and do any of this shit. But I'm there to make sure that the team is doing what they need to do. Right. But you all, like, we had so much fun this winter when we were on like half staff, right? Half of the club was away and we had so much fun. We trained quick. We got a ton done. And I love when everyone comes, and I'd prefer if every club member came. But, you know, I enjoyed our winter training sessions. They were short, to the point, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter. Like, I think club needs to be fun. If it's not fun and it's a chore, I won't enjoy it and I won't come. So, like, part of is I enjoy training with you guys. And that's why I moved to Texas, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to pick you guys out from around the state, right? And pick you up and pluck you and put you in Mart, right? Because you're the people that I want on my team.
What a cool group, too.
It's a great group.
You picked well.
Yeah, very nice.
We are 90% women.
Yeah.
And 0% drama. It's
and
weird.
0%. Well, I mean, I think all clubs. I'm not going to say.
Let's run a study.
I think it's
3.5% drama.
There you go.
Doesn't last.
I mean, when you put that many personalities together, you're going to have some. But I think for the most part, like, I've never had to sit multiple club members down and be like, because Heather's watched me do this before, like at club, stop club, and like, you fucking two work it out. Sit down, talk about this. Otherwise, we're not going. You both can leave. You both go home. I'll get rid of both of you. Either we work this out or you're both gone, kind of thing. Because that's not going to be conducive to continuing training. If there's going to be animosity, if there's going to be weirdness, right? If daddy has to go out for a pack of cigarettes at the gas station, it's bad, right?
Never coming back.
I come back eventually. When that session is over, I come back, right? But the idea is, you know, we all get along. I think it's important to put the personalities that get along together, right? That's why you have to be particular on who you allow in and don't. We have a ton of dogs, and realistically, like, it might sound wrong to people, but I would rather allow one of you guys to have an extra dog, to run 2 dogs in club, than allow a whole new person to come in with an extra dog. Because I think, like, Selena wanted a Dutchie. She already has a young dog that's not titled yet. And one of my rules typically is, like, you got to title the first dog before you're going to get the second dog. But she works so fucking hard, and we found her dream dog. Everything happens for a reason. Get her to the dog. And if anything, she's been more dedicated since she got the dog.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So I think that's a part of motivation, of reward, of you work hard, you know, like us motivating you to bring Encore to club.
Yeah.
How did that change your relationship with that dog?
It turned our whole world around. It turned our entire world around. It you know, I had an emotional experience with him, and so therefore it blocked a lot of my logic, and I let emotion take over facts a lot with him, and I paid for it immensely in the end. And within 3 months of you guys telling me to, you know, stop talking shit about my dog and stop listening to other people, to get out there and just have fun with my dog. And
what'd you do after 3 months?
Got a PDC.
You got a PDC?
I did.
Right?
Got a PDC.
And now we're training for the ones?
Thank you. Now we're training for the ones.
Something that you never thought that you would do with him?
With him. For sure, with him. Yeah. And he is just an all-around better dog. And I mean, he fucking bit somebody for us. Like, because of all of that. It was great. Like, it was amazing. I can't thank you enough for pushing me. And had I been anywhere else, like, I wouldn't have. This is my second club, you know, and I've been around to a lot of people, and because I want to learn, and I've seen a lot, and I don't feel I would have got that push or these people behind me, you know, Adrienne loving 9 in Encore, like, Tegan working Encore for me and just loving it. Like you said, it's fun. It makes me want to be here, and it makes me want to do it. Yeah. And the results are so rewarding.
So 9 being very frustrating by way of training a bully, I'm constantly watching the level of stress on your face of we see progress, but we see such baby steps that it's not as rewarding as seeing these huge steps. So one of the psychological reasons of wanting you to train, besides we all thought that Encore deserved the chance, was the amount of dopamine that dog's going to produce in your brain of we can do 3. Again, you've done a shit ton of training with him. So it's not like we only did 3 months and that was it. He had all this training ahead of time, but we spent 3 months tuning everything up, teaching him some new pictures, and went out and had a beautiful routine. How does that feel to say that, you know, like, you know, I had so much so many trials and tribulations in training to try to like pull out what I'm trying to pull out, and in a third of the amount of time, an eighth of the amount of time, like to then have all that dopamine. I mean, he's an awesome dog, and I think he deserved that relationship with you, for you to be proud of him, other than in normal life, but be proud of him and you guys working together.
Boy, and it made me a better trainer too.
100%.
You know, it made me a better trainer too. Because, I mean, you know, I work a lot of pet dogs. You know, the pet dogs gives me my money to be able to do the working dog stuff.
Amen.
So,
Amen for that.
Hey. So, yeah, it was a roller coaster of emotions. It was a lot of frustration. It was almost like, I don't even want to do this, because you're right, 9 would frustrate the hell out of me. Bull terriers are great and they suck. Like, but it would frustrate me, and you guys pulling that out from underneath me, like I said, it's indescribable. I can't describe the emotion, the feeling, the happiness of it. Like I said, it wouldn't have happened anywhere else.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have happened anywhere else, because I was always told the dog wasn't going to do anything, you know? So
don't tell me what the dog can't do. Tell me what the dog can do.
What do you say about washouts?
Basically just told me the trainer was a washout.
The trainer was a washout, 100%, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
Yeah, no, a well-behaved dog never made a skillful trainer.
No.
So it helped me immensely, and I don't know. It makes me want to be here. You guys are my family. Yeah. You know, it's great. Like, I love it. It makes me want to be here. My relationship is everything with Encore now, because it was so bad before. Only for certain things. He loved me, but he just didn't trust me.
Mm-hmm. And now after, you know, we've been here for a year, right? We've been a club for a year.
Yeah.
After a year, and then after a year of tagging along and just kind of hanging out, we have a new club member coming.
We do. That was awesome too. It was an amazing feeling to welcome my partner more than me sometimes.
The woman behind the woman.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She's hiding.
She's hiding. She's off camera.
We gotta give you a shout out anyway.
Celeste, we would like to welcome you officially as a club member of the Demons. You've been a club member, but now you have a puppy, and we get to help you on this journey. And so I think for all of your hard work.
The last trial, y'all did my birthday surprise, and now y'all over here doing a podcast.
She's crying off camera, but it's happy tears, so it's okay.
Yep.
Right? You know, again, I'd rather add you than some other person. You know, you've been here and you've helped us so much, right? Without having you had no dog in the fight, right? Other than wanting to support your girl, right? But supporting us through, like, supporting her, but all, like, supporting us is really important. You could have, and I've dealt with this many times, is the spouse that comes and only, like, you only get your girl water, or you're only making sure, like, you're making sure everyone's good. You make sure that my decoy looks pretty all the time, right? Like, you keep Isaiah looking tight. So, you know, like, all of these things are really important, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
What's the puppy's name? Faith?
Fade. Like a fade.
Ooh.
That's so good.
Celestial cuts and her fade. I love that. Can you do, like, when you go to compete, like a little design?
She could.
Like a little tape up?
She could.
A little fade?
Mess up the double
That'd be
coat.
Awesome.
No, not the double dog.
So building the dogs is really important, right? That's basically what we're here for in club. But, like, what motivates you when you don't feel like suiting up? When Jonathan turns to you and goes, "Can you throw your suit on?" Like, what makes you get up and go do it and not huff and puff? Like, what's the motivation to keep going?
It's the fact that Jonathan Katz asked me to put a fucking suit on.
If John asked you to put a suit on, you better put that suit on.
You don't question that.
I should have had it on before Jonathan asked me to put a suit on.
Yeah, you
I
just
appreciate
don't question
you guys.
that.
That was the answer.
Yeah, no, you do it. You do it. Just, again, the opportunity of even just being here and being trusted to work your dogs. Like,
I wish I could be out there with you guys. I'm old and I'm broken,
you're out there with us.
and so I'm there.
When we all get
support.
puppies,
Yeah, I work puppies.
Yes.
I work puppies.
There we go.
Puppy work. It's some of my
Right.
favorite to watch.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you're out there directing us on what to do
Yeah.
and giving us that knowledge.
I'm also really appreciative as a club. You guys are very high functioning without me. I still have to travel to judge. I still have to travel to give seminars. And the fact that you guys can actually train and take each other's advice and stay consistent, stay on the program. One of the issues I've had with previous clubs is the second daddy's away is a second the kids will play. And they were all doing things that daddy said, no, don't do. You're going to start a fire. Someone's going to have to go to the hospital. And
They tried to burn the house down.
they burnt the house down.
There was lots of fires.
There was lots of fires. So I appreciate that you guys are always sticking to the plan. You trust in the program and you trust in the plan. And obviously it's done well for us, right?
Yeah, we've seen it work.
So there's less of a need to question it, but still nonetheless, everyone has their own opinion and people, a lot of times want to do what they want. And I appreciate you guys as trainers that you take criticism and you take modifications and stuff like that. And, it's the fact that you guys are all able to adapt, right? It took us it didn't take us a year to be able to work together. It took us like a month.
Oh, we
right?
did. We threw a trial in 2 months.
2 months. You were a trial in 2 months. Yep. Jesus.
But I think that has a lot to do with.
I can't believe we did that.
It was a good trial.
But it was an amazing trial, and everyone had a blast. And our judge, Steve Roberts, shout out to Steve. Steve said it was, one of the best days of his life. He got to judge a trial
and put out
and be a firefighter for a day.
commitment.
And go and we took over the trolley, took over the local bar, and so
Fire department.
They're really parties. We've done 2-3 day trials, and honestly, this 2-day trial was like kind of a thank you to you guys because we've been working so hard. I think we deserve to only have a 2-day because I just remember vividly watching us the morning of day 3, and we're all just dragging ass. And I feel so bad for all of us are just so tired because we've been working so hard, right? So, this will be a nice, easy, sad. Unfortunately, Selena and Kim won't be here, but congratulations to Selena. She's getting married.
Yeah.
Yes, congrats.
We wish that we could be there. We sent her an air fryer.
Woo.
And she
Ew.
sent me a picture of her using it. I love my air fryer. But a 2-day trial will be a little bit easier, right? Less time, less setup. Once we can eventually, next year when we have the trial field just totally set up ahead of time, permanent fencing, then it should be a lot easier. Mm-hmm. We put a container out there with all the equipment. You just have to pull it out and move it around. But
I'm just especially stoked for walkout music.
Yes.
So 80s trial.
Yes.
80s
Love it.
trial with walkout music.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Ben and I told him the theme. And I suggested like some Miami Vice kind of scenarios. I think that'd be fun. We'll get some water guns with some shoulder holsters, that'd be kind of cool. But walkout music is very hard for 80s. If you love the 80s, Heather's still struggling.
It's hard.
Choice paralysis.
So many
is-
options.
So many.
Oh my God. I'm going to give mine away. I decided that I'm going to walk out one day to Forever Young.
Yay.
Yes,
That's like,
yeah.
when you think about a icon, and then what was the other day? Maybe George Michael. Faith?
Maybe.
Father figure? I don't know. There's so many good. Sunglasses at Night.
Corey Hart.
Corey Hart. Come on. But there's so many iconic. You can walk Isaiah's from the 90s, right? From the 90s? But so he didn't listen to 80s music in the 80s. I was born in 82, and my parents listened to all types of music, but they also listened to pop, and just the 80s is iconic. So I grew up on all that, Billie Jean.
Oh,
I don't know. There's so many. Some
there's
Cyndi
so many good
Lauper,
options.
Madonna, Janet.
Wham, Madonna. Come on. You're going to walk out to like a virgin?
I'm walking out to like a virgin. With 9.
With
I love
right.
it.
9. It's
Yes.
like she's a virgin.
What's
coming
on
out.
She doesn't act like one.
So, yeah.
What's we were in Montana and Adrienne looked at me and she said what? We said a lot of things in Montana.
There
What
were
did you
so
say
many
about about decoying, and you said
I
in
wanna be a
relation
better
to
decoy.
Tegan.
I want to be a decoy like Tegan.
You want to be a decoy like Tegan, and I
Yeah.
said, but she just has more time than you. You've been training dogs longer than her, but she's been decoying longer than you.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of it comes from experience. How
Yeah.
many years have you been decoying?
Officially, I put a suit on about 5 years ago.
When did you start? Like, when did you get that teal suit and decoying every fucking day?
Oh, she had a suit before that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had a suit
Got
before
stolen.
that. It
Oh.
got stolen.
Oh.
Had to get a new suit. Yes. So I've been in the suit for 5 years. I wouldn't say I actually started decoying until I went to your decoy camp in Houston. That's
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Seven was
shit.
there. That's the first time I met Seven.
Oh.
Yeah, that
It was
was
the first time I met you.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That was the first time I actually had some instruction
Oh,
on
cool.
where to go and how to improve.
I don't even remember any of this. I
Mhm.
feel like I remember a lot, but I don't remember any of these stories. This is
The
awesome.
slingshot.
No, that I remember. That's on my Instagram. That I don't forget. When and obviously Tegan and I have known each other for a few years. But I didn't know that that's when I started to actually teach. Who did I have my dogs with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I caught.
Yeah, the girls were in the
I
slingshot.
watched your girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a road trip.
Bandit too.
I caught Bandit. I
Bandits.
caught the girls.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so
Yeah.
cool. That's so cool.
And that was my first time working high level dog like that, like
Yeah.
yours. Like I didn't expect any of that.
So when I met Seven at that event,
Yeah.
the event host went around and was asking, "What do you guys want to work on with your dog?" And she said, "I want to do protection." and then I lectured for about an hour, and I go, "What do you want to work?" And she goes, "I want to do some obedience." And right away, she like touched my heart because I thought she was going to be like, no, I thought she was going to stick to her guns and be like, "Nah, we doing protection. Fuck that. No obedience." Right.
No obedience.
And she was like, "No, I think I need to work on some obedience." So
Yeah.
that was a big, that means that's coachable.
Yeah,
Right? Like that was from the start. That always gives me a good feeling about someone that like they listen to the words that I had to say and then they go, "Okay, I want to work on that." That's cool.
That's why I was there. I want.
Yeah.
You're one of the best. I want to learn. I have no problem learning from somebody else. I feel like you can learn from.
I think
everybody.
everyone. Why do I keep bringing instructors here also for me,
Yes.
right? You know, I think it's important that like as a school, we represent ourselves as, you know, as pillars in the community, but also we bring in other pillars
All the best teachers.
and have them come and teach. Like Paul was here teaching. Paul's at Michael Ellis's school right now for a week teaching. You know, like I am honored that Paul is my friend and he comes and teaches at my brand new dog training school, and he's at Michael Ellis school, which is one of the top schools in the country. You know, like I take that as a tremendous honor. Shout out to you, Paul. Like I think it's I appreciate that people will come and come here and teach. You know, it's an honor to me and an honor for my students to be able to learn from, and it's always going to be people that I respect. I'm not going to bring anyone here that's going to be conflicting to training or is going to give us, you know, ideas that don't work with our ideologies, because we have similar ideologies.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think it's important that it's also trainers that are going to vibe with how we feel and, you know, but that continuing education is so important.
Yeah, it's been a huge blessing for sure.
Absolutely.
I think it's you know, it's awesome that you guys come in, you know, day in and day out at club, throw your suit on, run at these dogs. You know, you have to run around and scream at Bandit for 10 minutes straight. And I'm like, stop, go back, set up, you know?
Yes.
Wait, do
That's
it again.
fun.
Do it again.
Run it from
Again.
the top.
Again.
One more time.
Same sequence. One more time. So I just appreciate that you guys go, and do whatever I ask you to do. Obviously, I'd never put you guys in harm's way.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What does it take to get in a dog's head? Like, what does that mean?
It depends.
I know there's certain dogs that
when the dog stops looking at the handler and wants to look at you. When the dog stops thinking about the handler and is now thinking, you are my obsession.
So as a decoy, then, like, there's different
that
types
get in a dog's head. So sometimes it's eye contact, right? The eyes are the gateway to the soul. The eyes are also the source of defense. So sometimes it's eye contact, right? Sometimes it's body movement. So if a dog is a more defensive dog, by giving them more defensive posture, you can kick them up into that higher defense that they've been conditioned to not be in. If the dog's a higher prey-driven dog, everyone thinks that the yelling and screaming is going to get them to bite. No, it's me running away at the exact right time and not fucking saying a word. And now I'm the copper-toned baby and that dog bit me in the ass. Go home. Thank you. Good job. Right?
That's been one of my favorite things to start, like, kind of developing.
Yeah.
In decoy
How to get
work.
in the dog's head?
Yeah, and like being kind of slinky and slow and creepy. Well, you can't overuse the banshee scream. You gotta just throw it in every once in a while.
There you go. But that's a way to get in.
All creepy is one of
There's
my favorite.
velociraptors in here.
Yeah.
So I think for every dog, it's going to be different. And then every decoy is going to have their own kind of movements of, to me, it's like Jeff Riccio is a snake charmer. Yeah. And he's got the cobra out in front of him and he's just like, do, 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 do. And the cobra's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like we love.
Sean.
Here's the thing, taking. Shout
when
out to
is it-
Showtime. We're going to give him his obligatory. He's a snake charmer of sevens. Okay.
The 7 charmer.
And the dogs, but it's more just that you're distracted by him.
It's how he like responds to it. And like, I love it. It's just great.
She's blushing.
Sean is a snake charmer. Sean was given a nickname by Jerry Bradshaw that was a tremendous compliment that when I heard that, I was like, damn, that was a really nice compliment. He called him the civil bunny, which to me means you are literally the definition of prey and defense. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, that was a really nice, like that was an awesome, I wish someone gave me a cool nickname like that. Call me Big Dog, right? Like, like the civil bunny. That's awesome. Isaiah. We didn't call Isaiah Pac-Man. Someone in the crowd called Isaiah Pac-Man, and then we were like, "Yes, that works. He is Pac-Man." Yeah. Right. So you can't give it. It's like T-Bone. T-Bone. He's a Coco. You can't call him. You can't call yourself T-Bone. You call him Coco, right? So, every decoy is going to get in the dog's heads differently, right? So you kind of got to figure out. Tegan's starting to figure out what that is.
That's what you're saying. Where like stature and posture is only going to affect a certain amount. So you should be able to do it without having either of those things, right?
Facial. Dogs can read facial expressions, micro expressions to an extent. I've never asked a dog, but I would say that, like they can tell that it's like when you come home and I'm very mad at you. Does the dog know that it's because they got in the trash 4 hours ago? No. They know because of your tone. Mm-hmm. Like when I would catch dogs in trial and then drive them, I'd be like, no, get off me. And they're like, I don't want, he said, get off me. I got off of him. Right? The dog's not supposed to listen to me. I'm just there catching and screaming. It shouldn't matter what I say.
It's about finding where the holes are at.
At the time in training that Isaiah was like, no, no, no. And the club member was like, not this club, previous club was like, don't do that to my dog. And I'm like, Isaiah, you do that to every dog but her dog. And she's like, no, okay, fine, do it to my dog. Right? We can't train in those parameters of like, well, that's not fair in training. The only time we would say that that's not fair to the dog, that'd be an unfair picture to show the dog. But like when it comes to pressure-wise, there's no such thing as unfair within limits. Mm-hmm. Because if we truly want to prepare these dogs when we go to trial and we don't want to hear prey bite, we have to put more pressure than them at them in training than they're going to see. You know, being pushed up into a corner, up against a wall, and the only way that you can push away from that wall is you got to push out of that wall. That's a lot of pressure on dogs, but in trial it's going to be like, hey, catch, boom, 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 freeze up. Like, yes, there's going to be a room doing the threes, but the average bite that they're going to take is just going to be a straight forward, can curtains, catch, turn, drive. They're not going to drive him and push him up again into a wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to show the dogs these pictures. We have to show them that level of pressure. What do you find the most challenging in teaching and like showing dogs?
Showing.
Picture-wise.
For me, for a long time, it was just making any noise at all.
Was it like, is it fear of not doing it, like not being loud enough? Is it stage fright? Is it because every time I'm like, Tegan, make a sound, you're like, ee, damn. And then in Montana, she's like, yeah! And I'm like, oh shit, where did that come from? That came from Montana.
Well, I started embracing the higher pitched, and honestly, Kelsey was a big part of that.
Good.
Because I had handlers coming over to me specifically out of a lineup
saying, do the
experienced
Kelsey.
and talented decoys coming to me as the one girl and being like, will you decoy for my dog and can it get some girl screams?
How does that
please?"
feel?
It was awesome.
Is that a sense of validation? Because they've clearly seen your work.
Mm-hmm.
They've watched you catch dogs. We were there all week. So it's such a nice compliment for outsiders to come over. It's like you never know that your dog is trained. The pet dog owner, the average pet dog owner, they see their puppy grow up, but they don't see the puppy get bigger. They see their dog being trained, but they don't see the dramatic improvement. And now they walk down the block and someone goes, man, your dog used to be out of control and look how awesome that dog is. And you're like, oh yeah, you think so? Oh, that's cool. Like you didn't even think about it, right? So us telling you you're awesome, you're like, yeah, but you guys love me. Of course you're going to tell me I'm awesome. But strangers telling you awesome, that's really when it's like, you know, your boyfriend tells you you're pretty and you're like, yeah, I know, but you like me. You have to say that. And then a stranger's like, damn, girl. And you're like, oh, okay. You get catcalled and you're like, thank
start
you.
Strutting.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it had just like allowed me the space to feel comfortable and a little bit less like an imposter. Imposter syndrome has been a big thing for me in the decoy
Fake
realm.
it till you make it.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is we are all in our own heads because I've never seen you mimic anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have your own movements, you know, and you have very fluid movements. Would you say that those fluid movements came from horseback riding?
I would say
Gymnastics
and competitive dance.
Okay.
I grew up in those areas. My mom has a gym. She's a coach. So I've been doing that since I came out the womb.
Okay.
And I think it allowed for me to develop a lot of body awareness.
Yeah.
And that has helped me tremendously for sure. And then rodeo and like horseback riding played a part in being able to read the animal in front of me and react in a split second's notice.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated where...
if she's not scared of horses that can run her into walls.
So that's the other
the
thing, also
1,000-pound
controlling
creatures.
big, strong animals.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated in where the skill comes from. Like when talking about sports, having trained so many decoys, and I found that like football players are kind of harder to teach to catch dogs. They're not afraid to run at the dog, but they're so used to crashing, and so it's harder to teach them the movement of absorption. And then soccer players make great French ring decoys because they're all that side to side footwork.
Yeah, it makes a ton of
What
sense.
I found the ultimate was when it came to sports as relation to decoying was lacrosse players. Both Corey and Isaiah are lacrosse players. They have to go hard at something, but they still have to be able to absorb and catch, right? They need to be able to run quick sprints and then stop, wait, turn, right? So on the other side, other sports, gymnastics.
I think it's a huge player for really anything athletic you want to do in your life.
That's core.
It develops so much muscle, balance,
Leg
body
strength.
awareness. Yeah, it's insane.
My buddy Javier from Miami, he in high school and college, he did competitive cheerleading.
Yeah.
Like You know, he is used to doing backflips. And the first time I saw him in a bite suit doing a backflip, and I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, that's fucking
That's impressive.
DJ, shout out to
Yeah, you need to
DJ.
do it now.
DJ, he did a shillelagh. You know what a shillelagh is? It's like the Russian dance where you sit on your butt and you kick your legs out. And I was like, dude, you can fucking shillelagh in your bite suit? That was so impressive to me. I don't come from any, like I played some ice hockey, but I wasn't that great. But, you know, like I don't come from that kind of athleticism. I come from like being able to read dogs, and then I had to learn where my body was. I had to learn, you know, did you grow up playing sports?
I did, but my biggest challenge when being taught how to decoy was the people that were teaching me gave me, you know, great knowledge, but the huge difference was size. I had big ass men teaching a 5'1" girl that weighs maybe 100 pounds how to catch these dogs. I felt like the science behind it was very different. Like, sure, I can mimic your same move and I can do that, but it's still going to be so different because of height, size, weight. So that was a lot of my challenges. Like, I would do what people were telling me to do, but it didn't work for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Because of that size difference. So that was my biggest challenge. And the way I got over that was going in there and working dogs and feeling it for myself. I had to figure out my own
just
size,
dancing with
my
the dog?
own way. I had to, and I took a lot of falls and you know, I learned how to absorb safely. Like it was a game changer for me. But that's where I learned all my moves and my fluidity and like she said too, it was a big deal on like how to read the dog. I already had that experience, so now to put that in there, you know, and I was very athletic, but you know, I'm older now. Like I ain't running to check the mail. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's the only workout I get is with the dogs. But that was my biggest challenge.
I saw you did 2 pull-ups over there.
I did. That was impressive, right?
Yeah, we have our Dogma gym is right outside the
It's
podcasting
awesome,
studio. So you could technically, when you come to school, you can watch us record and work out at the same time.
Yep.
Right? Adrienne, did you play sports growing up?
I swam.
Swam,
and I
okay.
ran long distances, and I swam long distances.
Okay. Hence, you
So
have really
I'm
good
really
stamina.
good at
Endurance.
suffering.
It's a workout.
I'm good at suffering.
Yeah.
I suffer the best.
And then the military.
Yeah, great at
Good
suffering.
at suffering.
Yeah, lots of suffering.
Still suffering.
I'm always curious where the drive and motivation and the like everything comes from, and it makes more sense now.
What? The suffering? No, just like long distance stuff. I used to do all that and at like a regionals level and what's bigger zones.
Yeah.
But no, I'm jealous of that because y'all seem very fluid, and we had Josh Kirby down right after your
Shout out
last
to
seminar
Josh.
with us.
Love
yeah,
you, Josh.
seriously. It was so great to have him. I was really I remember asking him and I was like, there's no way he's gonna want to come to Bastrop, but
Yeah.
maybe he'll want to come to Bastrop. It was a phenomenal weekend, and I had somebody, we were recording and he was teaching us all the little drills. So it was like my first actual breakdown. You gave me stuff in New York, but this was like a breakdown without
sure.
dogs. And I would be out there by myself watching the video and like practicing.
Love it.
Well, I don't know. Don't make me do it right
Passion
now.
and obsession wins every
Literally
time.
passion.
Because I have to make up
Wins
for
every
stuff.
So I
time.
think it's with the
And I'm always going to be clumsy. And my hardest thing is not falling down,
Mhm.
locking up or being stiff. So how can I mitigate that with maybe just a little more help?
with the decoy, it's passion. With the dog, it's heart. That's going to get you through most stress, right?
Yep.
You know, I've remembered days that I was like, yeah, I feel like $1 million. I want to jump in the suit. And then I've also remembered days where I have to suit up, but I'm like, I just don't feel that into it. I know once I'm into it, okay, my adrenaline will start pumping and I'll start going
I'm not
again.
a night
but-
person, and all you people want to train in midnight.
It's the best
And
time.
sometimes by the time I get here, I'm done. And
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. But once they were in the suit, then you're I'm like a different person.
For sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
It's a persona.
and it's fun. And it's fun to see the dogs running around and
You're
doing their
never
thing.
not, unless you're trying to be serious, but even with that, you're always,
I suck at being-
you're
no.
never not smiling when you're in the suit.
Well, and that's why I asked that question, because I don't think I have no aggressive intentions towards these. I'm like, come here.
But that'll also get dogs. And I need Adrienne to go, come here, I'll pet you.
Bandit, don't ignore me.
You steal him all the time.
Yeah.
Come on, let's
She's
go.
Mrs. Steal Your Dog. So it takes all kinds. I need every different type of
I don't
movement.
want to fight you. I just want to hug.
How do we generalize? We're going to go to trial, and the likelihood of it's not our trial. The likelihood of it being decoys that our dogs have never seen before. There's a high chance. When you went to Montana, how many of the decoys in Montana had Lynx seen before?
Sean, but he wasn't on the field for that. All of them. Who did he see? None of them.
None of them.
None of them.
She.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Who did she see? None of them. But she bit the exact same
Yep.
on each one of them than she would have bit on her decoys.
Yep.
But all that preparation got her to that point.
Yep. And starting young and variety from the beginning by necessity,
Yep.
but also by design. Right?
By design, she was strong enough that you could generalize her pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
Right?
But not until I came up there.
For sure.
That's when.
Yeah, we lay the foundation properly and then we generalize.
Yep.
You know? Someone's got to lay the foundation. I can't do it anymore, you know? So, like, you guys have to take the reign. And then we trickle down from most experience to, you know, working on more experience. Like, we go down the line and the dogs have to experience every decoy. I'm not comfortable sending these dogs, telling you guys you sign up for a trial until I've seen the dog on enough decoys that I feel comfortable, meaning we've overtrained.
Yep.
I can sleep at night knowing this is going to go well.
Well,
Might not out.
I super appreciate the push to leave the state and bring others into the state. Like,
Yeah.
things shuffling and fresh and new.
This is but I think this is important for dog training in general, but I'm trying to breed something a little bit new into Texas. I'm going to be a little bold about saying this is like when we host our trial, we bring in outside decoys.
Yep.
I don't know if there's ever been, I mean, I decoyed in Lubbock one time from New York, but like
Lubbock.
the percentage of the outside decoys coming into Texas, Texas is self-sufficient, but all the dogs
As
are
it should
accustomed to all the decoys, which they
Go
should.
Texas.
But I think if you're truly going to test your dogs, you got to bring in outside tests. Why, when we did the bar bites, why did I have Marquise come in and judge it and not me? Even though I didn't let any of the Dogma people compete. Some of them ran through just for fun, but I said, you can't even go for trophies. Now, the next one we're doing Dogma Alley Bites. We're going to have our own Dogma division so you guys can compete against each other. Okay? And we'll have separate trophies first, second, and third place for just Dogma Demons, right? Because I think keeping the level playing field, this is our home turf. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our dogs are going to do better in Dogma Alley because they've all bitten there before. Yep. So I think to keep the competition fair, I think it's important that we have our own division. Because I felt bad telling them, like, you know, I'm sorry, guys, but you can't really compete because I don't want anyone to think that, you know, all these dogs have been in the trolley before.
Well, the thing is, people are going to think that. They are.
So
they
it's so important to me, but that's why we do it separate.
Right,
that's why we
exactly.
did it. And I think it's really important for me to set an example of we're going to keep this separate and they'll go at the end and it'll be the same routine. It'll be the same, like the more advanced routine, but nonetheless, I think it keeps everything an even playing field. Because when we finished our trial, what did we do the day after, the club day after the trial? We did something fun.
Drink.
We did alley bites.
Oh,
we did some hood rat shit in the alley.
Celebratory.
And then we made scorebook covers, which we have to finish.
Yes.
Adrienne's got
Please.
finished. Yes. But to me, that was like a positive reinforcement experience because you guys work so hard, because you guys help so much. Like, I think it's important, besides breaking up the monotony of training, but I think it was important for everyone to feel that sense of like dopamine spike of like, oh, we're doing something different. The dogs had a lot of fun. And then seeing everyone so excited. I was overwhelmed because I had to make 15 scorebooks at once. But what kept me going in that moment was how excited you guys were.
I
So
can imagine
you
that was
guys
stressful.
motivate me to keep going, right? You know, I always feel so bad the Mondays that I get back, even like I get back at 10 o'clock in the morning from judging on a weekend and I can't make it to club. And I always feel such a level of guilt. And everyone's like, it's fine, Jonathan, get some rest. And I understand that, and I'll tell myself that, but I still feel that sense of guilt that I should be there helping you guys. But the fact that you guys are self-sufficient, I really appreciate that. It makes my life a lot easier. It makes me feel a lot more confident in the job that I've done to teach you guys, so you guys know how to do it.
We rely on Isaiah and Heather. If Heather wasn't there, I'd be like, I don't know what to do.
The unofficial assistant training director, right? You know, I think we could, and I think it's a conservative, not conservative that way, but a conservative group that's very focused on what we're here for. So if in doubt, we probably would just do something simple that we know would benefit the dog, but not test anything. That's the right answer. Clap for that, Heather. That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Right?
You just won.
Ding, ding,
Wouldn't
ding.
we? Don't you think?
But we do.
We'd be
That's
like,
exactly
that is the right
how we
answer.
do it. Like somebody will step
Let's
in
do
and be
dragons.
like,
That sounds good.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Yeah,
I love when
that's the money
Adrienne
shot.
gives
Can't
us
hurt.
information and knowledge all the time. Adrienne is a phenomenal trainer, and I go home geeked every time she tells me something. Like I love it. Like we all help each other. We all look at each other. I think we all also
Admire
think
each
about
other.
it and think about like, oh, what would Jonathan say in this, you know, or how would he
WWJD.
handle it, you know? So it's
WWJD?
Yeah, and
What
like
would
she
Jonathan
said,
do?
we do end up keeping it simple. The dogs are always having a good time and they win.
It's always easier to just like continue to do what the dog is successful than potentially.
You can always go back to ABCs.
Yeah.
Yes, always.
Always.
So I have a question.
You have a question for me?
Yes, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I haven't been in the dog industry all that long relative to you guys.
Okay.
So
Baby
I'm
trainer.
wondering if you've seen a shift in the amount of women in
Yes.
decoy.
Yes, I think, and that's a phenomenal question. I think that, again, I said it with finger quotation marks when I said this is a male-dominated industry. I think every industry is dominated by who spends their time doing it, right? And who works their hardest at it and who has the most success. I think that all of this empowerment, and this is one of the reasons why we're doing this. We're here because I love you guys and I'm excited to have you guys on my podcast, but I think it's important for young female trainers to see you guys out there doing your thing and being successful and being part of a successful club. And the majority of every time someone's like, oh, you know, the majority of the decoys in my club are female. And I'm very proud of that. I think we build dogs the same way. Like, I think it's the skill of the person, not the gender of the person.
Well, I have something to add to that too, because you have benefits. You have benefits just coming in with the athleticism that you have and the ability to read and more time and experience. I told you last time, but the reason I got a suit was to be as useful as I could. That was it. I also felt some of those limitations. Like, well, I'm small, I'm a girl, and 37, I'm a little broken, and enough broken that I was worried I wasn't going to be that much of an asset. No, not really. I'm still kind of noticing now during this conversation that I'm like catching that I don't think I'm going to be that much of an asset.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the opposite. Because I was like, do you notice now that you're like, you are such an asset to us?
What I'm learning the last few months is less that, because I think those blanket statements or those like blanket beliefs that you don't realize that you're catching start to come to surface when you talk, when you have conversations.
Yeah.
And I really thought it was more about like the decoy needs to feel aggressive. The decoy needs to, when getting in the dog's head is more about like wigging him out than anything which is stupid because I've seen Jeff a few times now. I should know better, but that you have to have a certain type of presence in order to do well at this. And the more I've done it, the more I realize now you're just a trainer. Instead of a leash, you wear a suit. And as long you just first be safe.
Can you just repeat that one more time? That
a decoy is a trainer that instead of a leash has a suit.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love
A
that.
different tool. And
That was awesome.
well, because I've
Yeah, it's just a different type of prong collar.
and so and then as a trainer, so she needs less guidance. Well, she's getting guidance and she's moving up, but I'm like, baby, I need more. You put me on experienced dogs, not baby dogs. She's getting to do some more of the baby dogs. So I get to learn from these dogs and from where you guys put me in watching. So I know what's going on and just work on my fundamentals a little bit and just watch the way that I watch. But I think if you're whether you're a female or a male and you're trying to get into decoying, if it's crash bang, do it again, crash bang, do it again, you're not. If it doesn't feel like learning or look like learning, it's not learning.
100%. That's
it's
also
not safe,
correct.
and it's not training.
Yeah. What's my level of hazing? What hazing am I okay with as a decoy trainer?
Send puma and cougar together.
Double bite.
I think a little bit of hazing okay. I think over hazing is too much. I think
I appreciate you. You read the people. You read the people you're coaching really well.
Yeah, but when the first time you took a bite, what were you not allowed to wear?
Gauntlet.
Oh yeah, that was fine. But I was also wearing that giant kimono suit.
Okay, you were wearing the bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't find her
Thank you
inside
for
that
that.
suit
And
anyways.
now you're paying
But
for
I had
it.
already taken bites from Tuco without it, or maybe not till after that. I don't know.
You had taken bites from
Yeah.
her
And then you
before.
got your suit, and that thing's not thick.
I didn't get a gauntlet till I got that suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a decoy, you're going to start with adult
you're big
dogs,
on
and you're going to work
respect.
up to baby
you have
dogs.
You get a little pain because the dog you're when you're worried about when you're working with guys who love guys and gals,
Yeah.
but guys who love adrenaline and having fun and fighting with the dog, and it's more about that adrenaline and fun. You have a risk of the ego tipping over into away from safe and training and progression and into chaos.
We have
so
that.
when you're doing a little bit of like the respect lesson,
Yeah.
that is really applicable. When you're working with somebody like me who tends to be more cautious, it's maybe a little less necessary. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure I don't fall on that. I'm already so scared I'm going to hurt the dog that on accident by being clumsy that I almost sometimes want to sit back and not do it at all.
And that's why I'm like, Adrienne, go run at that dog. How many people do I go run at that dog? I say that mostly to you.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. If you say it, I'm assuming it's going to be fine. So
But it is. It
Trust.
always is.
Trust.
you wouldn't tell me to run at
Right?
a dog if it was going to be bad.
Soldier, run into open fire. Run into live fire. And you're like, yes, sir. Yes, drill
And
sergeant.
then, and then I just have to stay upright if I can. Thanks, Knox.
Yeah, but you never
And-
got
Thanks, Knox.
Did you see the video?
That was from like not even 3 feet, too.
You got knocked
No,
out.
got
same.
knocked.
I was closer than me and Celeste, and Knox took me down.
Ranger
I was like, what?
But you
Fine.
fell with grace.
with like
There
a
you
plank.
go.
The grace of a plank.
But I was going to answer your thing. Even 4 years ago when I first started decoying, because my first certification that I got, was at Primal. And when I went there, I was the only female there.
Yeah.
And at that decoy thing, and even from 4 years ago to now, there's way more females.
100%.
Now. But the 4 years ago, the only two females I knew that were decoying was Amanda and Adrienne. Those
Yeah.
were the only two that I knew that were females that decoyed. And I looked up to them.
And those two women can work a
immensely.
dog better than
Fuck
most
yes,
men.
they can. Yes, fuck yeah.
They're both phenomenal decoys.
And now there's much more amazing women decoys. I don't think Tegan gets enough credit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Aw.
No, there's a lot of good women out there. It's important. You need to hire them and work with them.
Well, I think even like Adrienne mentioned Josh Kirby's seminar earlier.
Yep.
I think there was 2 men there?
Yeah, it was all girl. It was
It
all
was
chicks.
all
Love it.
ladies.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Love
Now there was a seminar back in the day,
The girl got bit in the booty.
Tittygate. Do we know about Tittygate?
Yes.
That bothered me because what they were attempting to do, I thought was a phenomenal idea, which is empower female decoys. But what they did instead was just give a bunch of women mammograms and make a meme about it. I think it's really rude when people are asking you to learn, they are saying, I am vulnerable, teach me. And when you take people's vulnerabilities and then use it to make a meme, I have a problem with it. And the shittiest part about the whole thing was the woman that hosted it didn't want to learn how to decoy. She does dog sports. And they're like, oh, we need a place to do this. She's like, you can use my place. And they got her to stand there.
Ugh.
They knew that the dog get dirty. They said that they were hazing the decoys. I'm sorry, but when you pay me for a seminar, I don't have time to haze you. I need to get as much knowledge into you in 2 days that I possibly can. If you want to come and want to be one of my decoys, sure, you're going to get hazed, but that will not involve Isaiah losing his nipple.
It does.
Okay? Like that will not involve you getting a mammogram. That will not involve anything that the dog... It's already dangerous enough what we're doing.
It's never going to be something that's going to demote. It's not going to be a punisher, right?
Nope.
You're never going to do something so demotivating that you don't want to decoy again, or you don't want to train the dog again, or you... That's counterintuitive.
Yep.
It's counterproductive.
So
It'd be funny.
I think it is. I think that's amazing that because Josh is an advocate for female decoys, I think it's awesome that he was there and he taught all but 2 men, right? Everyone else, and every decoy left better that weekend, right? I saw an improvement in you guys from just spending 2 days with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's a phenomenal instructor. Ironically, it was actually interesting. Isaiah was the one that remembered it. So this is episode 11. Episode 10, was the special episode, and I let Richard interview me. The only 2 people to ever have interviewed me on my own show was him and Josh Kirby. When I used to do PSA TV, I allowed him, he's like, I want to interview you. And I'm like, no one wants to hear what I have to say. And he goes, no, I want to interview you. So we did it. I was showing in the 3s and he lived. The judge was okay with it. I already had my 3 and we were just kind of doing it as a demo. But I had to answer questions while going through a level 3 routine. So I get to a code and Josh is like, what is this? And I had to answer things.
And you will post the link to this in the description of this episode, right? Because everyone needs to see that.
It's all on Facebook. It's all the...
Yeah, we need the link.
I'll send you the link. But I think it's important that you have instructors that are advocates for everyone learning and not out there to teach because of narcissism, how to teach out of empathy. I think that's the catalyst to learning is the teacher actually knowing how to motivate, how to touch people.
Yeah. And being genuinely interested in the student as well. I want you to succeed. Not, here, let me throw information at you and see you never.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. I can talk just to make myself feel better about myself and hear the sound of my own words. That's bullshit. I'd rather sit there and quiet. I will not talk. I'll talk in my head and I'm like, oh my God, there's 800 things in my head at the same time, but I'm not going to say out loud. You know, if I'm teaching, I'm giving a seminar and there's only one person paying attention, I'll just turn and I'll just be like, oh, so, and right. And then everyone else can talk. That's fine, but I'm not going to talk if you're not going to listen. Right. So the student has to be receptive to the knowledge.
Absolutely. To
be able to obtain it. Right?
It's how everybody talks about ego and they're like, ego has no place. Ego does have a place. A healthy ego wants to be corrected.
What's the difference between a healthy ego and confidence?
I think it's
ego. You're saying ego in and of yourself?
A healthy ego wants to be corrected and get better. An unhealthy ego is afraid to fall down in front of people. And
or thinks they know everything and can't be corrected.
It can't. It's about shielding the possibility that they might make a mistake.
I think ego kills talent.
Yeah.
I think when you put the cart before the horse, when you put the ego before the skill, I think we have I see it all the time. People that are like, oh, I'm the shit. And it's like, you ain't shit. You might be good for what you've been doing for a couple of years, but fuck, I've been doing this for 20 fucking years. That's 2 decades. It's a long fucking time. You're good for a short period of time, but is this going to be everlasting?
Get out of the pond.
You're going to have a full career.
Right.
Are you going to fizzle? Is this 15 minutes of fame or is this, in syndication? Right? I think it's important that you have to, this is the number one thing I preach on the podcast is you just being a student, always being a student. I'm constantly learning. Every day I'm adjusting. Every day I'm thinking about something different with the students. Each class, I run it a little bit different because I'm still trying to figure out what motivates. So day 1 of week 1, we clicker train them with, I got, 5 different bags of M&Ms and I let them pick their favorite M&M. But then I asked them, what was your favorite treat? And one said green grapes. One said mango. Obviously Richard wants potato chips. And another one said chocolate. And I went to HEB. Richard and I went to HEB. It was 10 o'clock at night. And we went out and we got mango and we got green grapes and we got a bunch of different potato chips and we got chocolate. And I then spent an entire day clicker training them with their own reward. I then clicker trained them with their own reward with a jackpot at the end, was a beautiful Dogma notebook. And I was just trying to explain to them and let them understand the concept of motivation and reward, high value rewards, low value rewards, high value rewards, and then like jackpots. And I was like, the first person, did you expect that you were going to get there? And she's like, no. And I'm like, but that just produced a bunch of dopamine in your brain, right? Like, we can't keep doing this. I'm not going to give you new books every day, but it's to convey the idea we have to do it with the dog. We can't tell the dog like, oh no, only today you get a book, right? Like the dog has to work for it every time, but it's the theory. And I told them even today, I appreciate you guys being vulnerable enough, allowing me to clicker train you. I'm not comparing you to a dog, but I am training you like a dog for you to understand how to train dogs better. You know, like, and we all learned from each other. The first person got an easier behavior. The second person got a more difficult behavior. The third person got an even more difficult behavior. And we progressed them through. And each time I expected a little bit more from them. And I made it a little bit harder, right? What happened with Tuco? We got our PDC. We're now training for the ones, but we're going to do his one in a weekend and we're going to retire, right?
No.
Okay.
We're gonna keep
yeah,
going.
that was the plan. And then we come the next club day, you pull up in the van and I meet you at the van and I go, is you retired or are we training for the twos? And you're like, we're training for the twos. So like, I didn't want to pressure you previously to be like, no, you're gonna be in the twos. It's let's like get our success, and then once we have our success, now we can unlock that next realm of pressure.
Yeah, building confidence.
But everyone needs confidence built differently. Everyone needs different communication, and every single club member gets different communication. Everyone's motivated differently. I said that to Adrienne when we were doing the mock trial. So we were at the mock trial and I turned to Tegan and I go, so you should probably feel the best of all of us at this. And she goes, why? And I'm like, because you're not ready. You're not ready. But you got to show it's your club's hosting a trial. And he's like most of the way there. Like he knows a lot of stuff. You're not ready. And she goes, yeah, you know what? I feel good about it. Like, I don't think I'm ready, but I think I can go out there.
We'll see.
And then she went out. She got an 87.5 in obedience.
I think so.
And then in protection, we made a handler mistake. We forgot to call off. But he was blazing downfield. He was having a blast.
I was just in awe.
So, I turned to Adrienne after and I go, oh, you like that reverse psychology, right? Like, you were ready. Mm-hmm. Again, you're ready as you're going to be with the amount of time you've been training.
Yep.
But if I'm 85% of the way there and I go out and I get an 80 or 85, am I going to be happy? Yeah, I got an 87.5. So technically in obedience, you were 87.5% ready. Yeah. And then in protection, we need a little bit. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Right? It's a lot. The statistical failure rate of even just the twos is extremely high. We have to be okay with that going into it. We know that we are. Why do we all choose to do the most difficult sport? And everyone's going to say, well, my sport is more difficult and my sport is more difficult. Statistically, PSA is more difficult because you have to pass everything. In Schutzen, in French ring, in Mondio ring, you only have to get a certain point structure. And in Schutzen, it's only 70%. It's not even 75. And in French ring and Mondio ring, you can zero an entire exercise and still pass. In PSA, you have to. They'll be like, you passed obedience and 3 of the scenarios, and 1 scenario you failed by 1 point. Go home. See you later next time. So that's why I'm saying not just the room of doom and the chainsaws and all that. I'm saying like that is what makes it really complicated. Why did you guys choose to do this journey with me and pick the most difficult sport? What if I said we were doing French ring? What would you have done? Adrienne's like, yay, we're doing sports.
Yeah. I'm
right?
down.
But I think French ring is just as difficult in its own way.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying in correlation to I'm the training director, the Dogma Demons was started by me.
Is this a rhetorical question?
It's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I also do French ring.
No, I mean why we picked PSA question.
No, it's not a rhetorical question. It's an honest question. The rhetorical question was, why are we not doing French ring?
Because it is challenging. Because there's only a certain amount of number of people that have in the level 3s.
I think it's also more open to more. It's open to a lot more variety, and there's a lot more room for interpretation so that you can write your story yourself.
I love the mom, not to get off topic, but I love moms. You sent me the screenshot. What word did I come up with?
It was time when it was a word you made up.
I love this, that I made up a word, and Adrienne's mother messaged her and said, "This is my new favorite word." Can you find the word? Because I don't even remember what it was. But the fact that I came up with a word, I was so impressed because I was reading them like, what does this even say? Percentagely. She said it should be in Merriam-Webster's. Yes. She's going to petition it. She's going to make it happen. Right?
She actually will too, is the thing.
And she's an intellectual, so I'm even like more flabbergasted about the fact that I came up with. I mean, at what point does a word not become part of vocabulary? You know, like how many times does it have to? My favorite videos now is like the father and daughter doing, translating from Gen Z to millennial?
Oh my gosh.
Right? And it's like romantic, Riz. That's enough. I've heard it, I've heard enough, say less, And some of these words I'm like, what does that even mean? But it's just, it's slang. Everything we have is slang. It's all slang from Britain.
It's forever changing.
Right? At one point we talked like this, right? But now we talk different. And every place you go, everyone talks different. Okay. But we're all speaking the same language. We can all communicate. But I went to the UK. I went to Northern Ireland for the first time. And I'm having a conversation with a guy, and he's like, in a bucket, in a pants, and there's a popping. And and I felt so bad because I don't understand what he's saying. And I look at one of the other guys from Northern Ireland. He goes, I couldn't fucking understand a word he said either. So I felt much better about that I couldn't understand it. But nonetheless, like, I want to be able to converse. Like when I go to India, the first thing I wanted to understand was like basic communication. How to say hi, how to say bye, how to say thank you. And then what am I going to pick up from just Richard talking on the phone? Right?
Careful.
All the curse words. So, it's part of like enthralling yourself into culture. But so as a club, are we culture?
Yeah.
Do we make culture?
Yep.
Do we set an example for other clubs? Or just people, or what people should look for in a relationship with a club?
Hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
The one thing that always used to make me really sad was in New York, people would come to Strong Island, they would spend a day with the club, and then they would start crying. And this happened over and over again. They would start crying, people that were visiting club. And I'm like, why are you crying? And they're like, I don't have this at home. And I'm like, oh.
Now you're gonna teach people how.
Teach people how to fish. Yep. Teach people how to train.
Well, I think when picking club members, you actually picked quite a lot of floaters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, half of you were rejects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It's the second what is it? What's the movie? Was
Devil's Rejects?
No, it was like it's the second tier, second string. But to me, the trainers were all washouts. You guys actually were the driven dog, right? So I'm going to take this washout and I'm going to turn you into a PSA 3 handler. No? Am I going to take my Puma, who's a wash out of IPO, and put a PSA 3 on her and make her a national champion? Like, I see the potential. I can look at a dog and I can look at a person. I can see what their potential is. Now, only studying them for a certain period of time will truly tell me, but I live my life by instinct. I want to know that I'm right over time, but like, to me, it's instinct. I can see someone, I can read someone and go, this person's special. This person, why is the story? Why did this not work out? they were driving 2 hours each way to go and suit up and then not getting proper work on their dog. Why would you continue to show up and suit up? That's a lose-lose situation. Here you drive longer, but actually getting something out of it. And I appreciate you guys. I understand that when club's over, I can go back and sit on my couch and you guys still have 2.5 hours of driving, right? So I want you guys to understand that I do appreciate everything. 7 came during a hurricane to be here, right? Because I asked her to be a guest and she's like, I'm not going to miss this, right?
Thank you to my team. Thank you, team.
Thanks
for handling it.
Thank you guys for holding down the fort. Part of her built, like the part of the roof fell down, right?
It was the backyard roof, guys.
The backyard roof.
Not the
Yeah,
building.
the building's fine, thank God. But
The puppies are okay.
Everybody's fine, yes.
And technically right now, this is club time. This is hard for us to all get in one place. We have to schedule, and we can't do it after because we're all exhausted,
Yep.
right? And it gets too late. We train till 9 o'clock at night. And like the students, I'm trying to like ease the students in. I'm like, hey guys, these are really long days. Like you're going to get breaks in the middle of the day, but like this is a 10 to 12 hour day. This is the job of a life. This is the life of the job of life. This is the life of a dog trainer. Is it not?
Yes.
From the second I wake up and I've drank a little bit of coffee and then let out dogs, shower, go to class, take a break, go back to class, take a break, go back to class, take a break, go back, take care of dogs, club.
That's a totally
No
separate
days off, because
no
Saturday
days
and
off.
Sunday,
There's no days
we
off,
were working
especially
on
if you're running
projects.
your own business, personal dogs. Like the closest, there's a fine line between like some of our employees might actually work 40 hours and go home and have hobbies. And
What's that?
I know. Well, you actually have hobbies.
This is
It's
our
really
hobby.
inspiring.
Which hobbies? What?
Like leather work and
I love how you
cooking.
sung that. One of your
just
hobbies is singing.
Nope, it just happens.
So I think I wanted to do, when we were doing our episode, I was trying to find a good song that we could do a duet.
Ah, you
Yeah.
guys have to do a duet.
We should do that. I think that would be fun.
I mean, Tegan can
but
be your
here's the
backup
thing,
dancers.
most of the duet, like when I looked up like what is the most popular duets, they're all love songs. And like I don't think that's what what gas station were we in coming back from Montana, and we were just randomly singing the different parts of the song. Do you remember what that was?
Did we?
remember what it was.
That was too much driving.
25 hours is dedication.
Yeah, I don't remember it. They had a great playlist on whatever it was, though.
Was this a gas station?
It was just a gas station. We were just like, I was singing one part and you sang the other
There's
part.
a term for when neurodivergent people, if they're cued to sing or repeat something, like if you make a weird noise like whoop, and
Yep.
then a neurodivergent will go whoop,
Yep.
just to try it out, so without noticing that it's happening. So that might have also been a thing.
I saw a fascinating video and it was explaining the difference between neurodivergent and neurotypical. And a neurodivergent person, when you tell them the story, they will tell you a story that relates. Not because you're trying to make it about you, you're trying to just relate to the person. And a neurotypical person would go, why are you telling this story? I'm trying to tell you about my uncle. And you're like, I have an uncle, right?
I know what it feels like to have an uncle.
So,
Anyways,
yeah.
I picked PSA.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was because it was exposure first exposure.
Yeah.
And then once I'd seen it a little bit, and I heard about Bart Bell and started watching Bart Bell and stuff, I started watching a little bit more of the other sports. But frankly,
Because we can't
none
do
of
Belgian
the other
ring.
sports were as fun to watch as PSA. So
Yeah.
I just kind of kept watching PSA,
Yeah.
and then it was available. So partially, like
It's
rationally,
accessibility.
Rationally, I can
Yeah.
actually access the sport better than I can French ring or even
For
Mondio
sure.
ring. You have to go all the way down. The closest is in San Antonio.
Yeah.
IGP we have all over,
Everywhere.
but getting access to a club is going to be like
For sure.
it's just. But you know,
But
it was the dopamine factor for me.
okay.
Yeah.
Of PSA.
Yes.
It's a lot of
More
dopamine.
fun. It looked like fun to do.
Yeah.
And IGP, I'm too much of a perfectionist in real life, and OCD, I felt like I would
Oh,
just be
God.
more of that
Oh, it's
in
just
IGP.
oh no.
So I was like, that looks like
My turn is
work to me.
0.2 degrees off.
Yeah.
Like whereas in PSA, there's so many things going on.
Yeah,
you can't
gotta-
notice the
I told
0.2.
you, PSA is teaching me to relax, oddly enough.
Hmm.
Like, just relax. It's good. That was good. That was fine. That was fine. It was good. Keep on.
One of my favorite things about in Montana, I had a lot of fun in Montana, but one of my favorite things, besides that we went as a group and we went up and we kind of demonstrated, everyone was telling me like, it's really cool to see your club work together, even though it was only 4 members, but still we work as a team and everyone's where they need to be and everyone's, serving their purpose and doing their job. But Heather even brought it up. She was like, it's funny that in the beginning of the sport, the award that I got the first time I showed was the slowest down in PSA history. And then everyone in Montana kept coming from, they go, how do you get all these dogs to down so quick? And I was like, oh, it's funny because I don't even remember. Heather brought it up. Like, it's kind of irony that, from where you come from to where you get to the point where people are like, right? So again, it's the outside compliment. The first time I asked Seven to go do a muzzle fight with Bandit, right? And I was like, man, I had never seen you be that animated. But that's where you have to be the most animated. But don't you come from protection dogs, and we're molding you into a sport dog trainer, right? You come from real life.
Well, no. It's kind of the opposite. So I came from sport, which I was told was protection. And then going into sport, I was like, no, those were definitely a lot of equipment fixated dogs.
For sure.
And then I started to learn more about channeling different drives, actual aggression, prey, defense, manipulating drives, all that thing. So I'm getting a little bit more into the real serious dogs because that's all you guys fucking have.
Yeah.
And we don't have that in Houston. So not like a jab. I'm just, I haven't seen them. They haven't come to me. So a lot of the dogs that we get are we're building dogs. I'm not used to seeing these high level, hard ass fucking dogs, so it's coming here and I have to be on my toes. I have to, and God forbid I fucking push Bandit backwards, like that weighs heavy on me. And so all the trust that you guys are instilling in me to do that, I when you build dogs and you work with them, like you said, you can do both. You can have a sport dog, you can have a protection dog. And so I think a little bit of my training in the sport world helped when I got here to you. And I started to learn more about PSA. Because I knew about PSA then, but it wasn't broken down to me. I was just working these dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Then I come here and you actually break PSA down.
Yeah.
And it's
so much more fun when you understand the rules.
You don't have sport dogs. You guys don't have sport dogs. Yes, they compete
we do
in sports and they have high
fun.
levels, but they're not sport dogs.
But it's more important than when Heather's walking down the block, that when some random person comes over and starts shit with her, that Bandit's going to defend her.
Yes, and he 1,000% will.
Right? It's more important than when you guys stop in Groesbeck?
Dallas. Encore bit somebody for us.
And then you need to use your protection dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Encore bit somebody for us. Literally bit a freaking creepy junkie at a park that looked very nice, and closer we got into it was terrible, and he came up to us and I just told Encore the word and he was like, yeah, ran right at the dude, pushed him right out. And I'd never put that in there.
Castle Doctrine, I love it.
I never.
God bless.
And
Texas.
It was enough. He read the situation, and I truly believe a lot of training helped that. Like he didn't go and like latch onto his arm. Like he gave enough to scare the dude to be like, what the fuck, and like the guy left. Yeah. That was enough for me and Celeste to be like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
I'd be just afraid of Celeste.
Yeah. But it was and again the training. It helps with that. So I started off in a little bit of sport, and it got broken down a lot more here. You broke it down in the pictures. The pictures is everything. Breaking it down in the pictures. I got a lot of compliments on that video of Isaiah working Encore.
Yeah.
It's some big page reposted it on Facebook and was like, "This is the most amazing video of like building an actual dog
so
and like
cool.
going through the fight and like it showed."
You gotta send me those things. I didn't see that.
Like I put it in that order to where Isaiah first started with just the bucket, and then a little bit of water, and then all the water, and those are proper components in how to build a dog.
That's why when I try to put up training videos, I try to put up progression videos, not just my dog doing it correct on the last one. I try to show the bites. And Isaiah showing down, like literally breaking down that where I'm going to be in the blind, I'm going to come out and we're going to back chain it all the way online and then show all the progression. I think that's the important part. I think showing all these like flashy videos, to me, it's all hype. It's not as much about the hype as about teaching, right? The hype should be the knowledge. You know, yeah, the pretty video is the pretty video, but I think for me personally and for us as a school, it's important to show the progression and to see the dog learn in real time. Could we have just thrown the shit at him? For sure.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, he would have totally done it with me throwing it at him, but why? But why?
But just because he can doesn't mean he should, right. And we can still break things down and make them successful through successive approximation, and show the dog from the start. You win, you manipulate, you manipulate, you manipulate.
Well, I want him confident, not just hanging on for dear life.
Exactly. I don't want him just there. I want him to dominate.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely a good, like, thinking about how building dogs differently is when building dogs, you're teaching the dog to manipulate and dominate. You're not just teaching the dog just to take it.
Right.
A lot of dogs just take it. And they're just like, I take it. And I'm doing this because it makes daddy happy. Yeah. You know? I think it's important to, again, building is the most important thing. You have to build the dog for the fight. If you don't build the dog for the fight, you're an asshole. Right? And again, me calling everyone on the internet as assholes, I'm just being dramatic. Right? I'm just saying, like, because you can come back from that. You have to go back and you have to train and you have to regroup and you have to figure out what didn't work.
It's going to take longer.
It's going to take longer, of course, but can you build, can you regroup, can you come back stronger? I think you can. I think if you truly want to.
We've all done it in training somewhere, not just bite work, right? Yep. Training is training, whether it's bite work or like do a handstand. Yeah. And
for sure.
And if I ask a dog to do something that I've explained to him 3 times and he doesn't do it and I start to get frustrated and he's like, I don't know what you want. My job then is to go, yeah, I didn't teach that very well.
Now, I'm okay with, I can force a dog to do anything. The only thing I will never force a dog to do is bite. I don't use stim to bite. That is the one part of e-collar training that I have removed from the system. The bite is a reward, and I'm not going to pressure the reward. I'm not going to force you to take your food. You know, I'm not going to force you to take a bite. I want the dog to enjoy the work. And part of it, you have to build them to it. You have to build to all that pressure. If we just constantly give them pressure, you end up folding the dog. I think it's teaching them to manipulate, teaching them distractions mean go. It's breaking down into all those individual pictures, and the dog remembers each one of those individual steps.
It builds their hope. I
remember when my mother's friend took me fishing. I grew up in the city. I'd never been fishing in my life, and my mother's best friend took me fishing, and I remember him teaching me how to put the worm on the hook and cast it in, and then you're going to pull it a little bit and pull it. Like, I remember that as a child. It's the same. I think it's the same thing for the dog. They should remember all of those individual steps, not just where they ended. Obviously, where they ended is going to be the most successful, but
learning and stress don't go well together, right?
Never.
So that's kind of what you guys are like. You're trying to teach it to them with minimal stress, because learning and stress makes your brain unable to retain information.
They learn the best in play.
Yeah. Guys, I really want to thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I want to say. I want to thank you guys for helping me build the dogs, helping the club, making the club the success that it is, that we are. There's a lot of people that go into this, and everyone plays a factor, but you guys are really important to that team.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Really thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
You could have anybody
Thanks for
here.
letting us catch your dogs.
Yes,
and this was great. This is the most amount of people we've had on the podcast, and I want to keep doing this. Can we do this again?
You need a round table to do round tables.
Yeah, round table. We need a bigger room. We're going to need a bigger boat.
It's a good thing you got a lot of space.
Yeah, we have tons of space. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Like, share, and give us a follow, please. Yeah. Thank you, guys.